All right, I'm on the phone with head coach Mark Arnold from the MDI Trojans. Congratulations, coach. Let's see, the first win of 2018, the first win over Hampden in I don't know how long, and the first win in the Mark Arnold era. So tell us a little bit about Friday night's game.
Well, we got one in the win column, so we're definitely happy about that. I just really wanted to start off by saying, putting out a thanks to my coaching staff and the hard work that they put in last week. Coming off our loss to Oceanside, we sat down and really thought about what we needed to do and how we needed to improve, not only as a team but as a coaching staff. And they really put in work last week, working with our players, and it certainly showed on Friday night for us. We had a big improvement over our first game. So
let's talk a little bit about that improvement. First of all, I was so happy with the defensive effort after pretty much a porous defense on the first game back on August 31st. The defense was just rock solid on Friday night against Hampden.
Well, again, we talked last week, and I told you that our primary goal for the week last week was to become a tougher football team, and that certainly makes a difference defensively. And we saw that Friday night. We had kids that really showed, good improvement just in their ability to step up and play football. But like I said, it really goes back to the work that our coaches put in, working on fundamentals with those kids, building their confidence. Because when you go out on the field and you know your job and you're prepared to do that, then it allows you to focus on playing fast and playing tough. So,
a fantastic effort by Elijah Joyce, but that comes with a huge push from the offensive line. I mean, he doesn't get 300 some yards without an offensive line that's just clicking.
That's correct. Again, really the returning experience on our football team is in that offensive line. In the time that I've been here in the last 10 years, this is certainly the best offensive line group that we've had, and we've had some good ones. But this is a mature group of very sizable kids.
They're big boys. When they go to the all-you-can-eat meal, the restaurant shakes.
Yes, they do. I was looking at some of the pictures and from the game that Walter had taken, and I really like the one where I'm walking out and Gilbert's walking out. But this week we had the first week we had a group, and I think they were made up all of our linemen. So it was big guy me and four of our big linemen. But this week we had some different guys, and I was thinking that Hunter Gray, one of our smallest players,
he's number 3 in that picture. Yeah.
If I was Hunter, I would be making sure Gilbert wasn't putting butter on me.
Well, and then there's a picture of Gilbert that he pancaked someone. I mean, he was just on top of him and the guy needed a spatula to get up after Gilbert was on him.
Yep, he can get on people, both offensively, and he's really doing a nice job for us defensively. He's played nose guard, and, for someone that big to play two ways for the entire football game, that's toughness takes a lot of different forms, and so that's certainly, one way that he stepped up for us. It's been important. But across the board, like you said, our offensive line really did an excellent job. But I was really happy also. We really showed growth, where we're younger and more inexperienced is in our either our backfield area or our defensive backs. And both of those groups of kids really stepped up and showed improvement over our Oceanside game.
Well, in terms of takeaways, I think you ended up with 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery.
Yep. One of the things that you do early in the season is we went into the first game, and when we came out of it, we still had some adjusting to do on where players were going to be positioned for us. Oceanside playing the double wing, you kind of put in a defense versus the double wing that normally isn't it's not your base defense. Some people call it a throwaway defense, but it's something that you kind of restructure your defense to match the uniqueness of that double wing offense. And so this week we got into, what we are thinking is a more traditional set on us defensively that we'll be able to adapt in little ways throughout the season. So that required some adjustments in where players were and what we learned from the first game. But coming back, we had a couple of players who I think thrived a little bit more in the positions that we had them in this week than we did in the first week.
Game ball, who are you going to award that to?
Gee, I haven't gotten to that part yet. I've asked for input from my other coaches. It's not really hard to figure out when a guy has 300 yards plus rushing and also plays defense and leads you in tackles, who's going to get this game ball. So it'll probably be Elijah Joyce, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I had him as 36 carries, 314 yards, and I can't keep track of the tackles, but it was just an amazing night. So now, you got to put that game quickly behind you. You've got MCI coming down, and I don't know about in terms of the coaches or returning players, but that loss last year, granted they're two different teams, but that loss last year in the Northern Maine finals has got to have left a bad taste in the MDI mouth.
Absolutely. Give them all the credit in the world, and we certainly respect our opponents, and they had a tremendous. We talked to our kids. One of the things over the summer, and as we've started this year, last season, MCI I think was kind of in the position that we are this year. They were a young football team. They had some injuries early in the year to some of their senior players, and it took them a while to get going. And really, they used the early part of their season kind of as that team building and building players up, and then really turned it on in the second half of the season. And for us, that's kind of the roadmap that we've been building for our kids. We've let our kids know that, hey, we're going to make mistakes early on. We're young. We have inexperienced players at a number of key positions, and we have to show growth as we move forward. And that's the case all the time, but for us to be successful and reach the goals that this team has set for itself, we have to be willing to maybe take some lumps and learn from our mistakes early on and keep working through that. But I know one thing, there's not a person on our team or on our coaching staff that isn't eager to welcome MCI back to this field.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, last year when I talked to Coach Mark Shields, I said, oh my gosh, I've never seen such a tough schedule. The next 4 games are about as tough as they come. You've got MCI on the island, then followed up by Winslow on the island on the 21st. And then at Herman on the 28th, and then at Nokomis on Saturday, October 6th. So, just a brutal slate of games coming up.
Yeah, this stretch here is certainly going to be a tough one. I think that those 4 teams are, vying right now for the top spots in our conference. And they're just, especially, the next 2 weeks, MCI and Winslow, when you look at how traditionally year after year their success, and one of the things about both of these teams is they're really known for their physical ruggedness. And so for us, that's going to be the bigger challenge for us, but you have Herman and Nokomis who've really shown outstanding growth in the past couple of years. We've always had, competitive, hard-hitting games with Nokomis, and when you look at the numbers that Herman has brought in, their internal competition is driving excellence there. So this stretch of 4 games is certainly going to test us, and with our numbers, it's going to be important for us to stay healthy through it. But at the same time, the best thing about it is there's no doubt our kids are going to get tougher over the next 4 weeks. They're going to do that, just to survive and thrive through it. So,
I'm sure you've met with Dan Viber. What was the after the game in terms of injuries? Everybody in good shape?
Yeah, we came out of this last game healthy. I don't think we really have anything that's going to hinder us going into this week. So that's really good news for us.
You're going to have at least one day of heavy rain, and I know the field can desperately need, it can absorb just about all the rain that we're going to get. What does that do for you in terms of moving into the gym, or you're going to practice outside, or you haven't gone that far yet?
Well, we'll try to get outside, if we can. Every year, there are more precautions, it seems, that we take about what we're doing. I mean, I don't think we ever went out in lightning when I was a player myself, but I know we played in the rain a lot more than we do now. So I'm hoping that we get out, the entire week. We are yet to have a full week of regular practice, and so that's really important, especially in these weeks where you're playing on Friday and you only have 4 days of practice. Monday is a really light day, so if one of those days, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, you don't hit the field, that really slows down the progress that we want to make going into a Friday night game. So if it's bad weather, we'll adjust and do what we can, whether it's getting the guys in the gym, watching more film, doing more chalk talk. We'll do something, but I really hope that we're able to get out on the field, and we'll be out there even if it's pouring, as long as there's no lightning.
Right. You'd love to have a huge crowd on Friday. Friday night's weather is supposed to be good. Looking ahead, you will have the cheerleaders there, you'll have the pep band there. You'd love to have those stands packed.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this is an important game for us. It's a rematch with the team that ended our season last year, and we want a lot of fans there to cheer on our team, and it really means a lot to our players, and we need that 12th man to help support us this Friday.
All right, Coach. Best of luck. We'll talk to you later in the week.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. We'll see you later.